China and the USA are in a trade war, and apparently this trade war has meant that a lot of Chinese bag manufacturers are out of their confidentiality clauses and now get to tell the public that they are the real makers of the designer bags, and that Italy and France and the designer companies there are just doing the finishing touches and then selling it for an astronomical price. What is the truth? Are these designer bags actually real? Is the fake bag that your auntie bought for you in Bali actually a real Hermes Birkin? Let's get down to business and let's get down to the truth. Okay, so let's talk about why this makes sense and why this doesn't make sense. Why this makes sense. This is a manufacturing process that has been going on for a very long time because there is a major stigma about bags being made in China. Why? Because when China started as a manufacturer, they made a lot of low quality goods. Now, China makes a lot of high quality goods and has done for actually a really long time, but the stigma of made in China is still very much there. Brands know this, and they also know that they can charge more when they have a made in Europe tag on the item. So what they do, and this is across many industries, across clothing, across accessories, across you name it, this is a practice that is done with a lot of clothing. They will make about 80% of it to 90% of it in China, have it shipped somewhere else, have some final touches done on it, and then they can slap the tag made in fancy Europe country. So this actually does happen. We also know Dior has been found to outsource the making of their bags to some silent secret factories where workers did not have good workers' rights. Now this has happened in Europe. This is true, this is documented, this is in the news. We also know that the Dior book tote costs 50 euros to make, something like that, $50 or 50 euros to make, and they charge, goodness knows, a couple of €1,000 for it. We know that there are some exorbitant prices involved and that the bags aren't actually worth what you're paying for them. Now, let's talk about what's sketchy. The Chinese manufacturers of these real designer bags, now I say this in brackets because they are alleging this, kind of. If you listen to what they're actually saying, they are saying, we make the same bag, the same quality bag at a fraction of the price. Many of them are being careful not to allege that they are the exact factories that these designers are using in order to make their bags in China. This is where it gets fuzzy. So what these Chinese manufacturers are, is they are making A+++ fakes. They are making bags which are so identical to the ones that are actually made in Europe by artisans. You have to keep in mind the majority of the designers' practices are actually good. That is what you are paying for. You are paying for advertising, you're paying for quality, you're paying for workers' rights when you get a bag that is made in Europe. For these bags that are the ultimate high quality fakes that are made in China, they do not have the workers' rights or supply chain which is identical to the one in Europe, but the bag is the same. The bag turns out the same. The final product is virtually identical. Now, if you've watched my previous video on handbags, you will know that authenticators are actually having a really difficult time authenticating bags. This is a big problem because it means that people are buying fake bags when they think that they are real. People are going into authenticator shops, stores, consignment stores, are selling it. The authenticator is sometimes buying it and on-selling it for a ridiculous price that the bag is not worth. There is also alleged cases where assistants at designer stores have been buying A++ fakes and selling them in store to unsuspecting buyers to increase their inventory and to increase the amount that they are able to sell. It's important to note that there are greedy people in every industry. There are unethical things that happen on the designer side and also that happen on the non-designer side. But what happens on the non-designer side is 100% unethical. What happens on the designer side is mostly ethical with the occasional bad actor. That is the difference. The difference is things like forced labor, slave labor, child labor, and really unethical working conditions and unsafe working conditions. That is what is happening in the fake designer market. Now, that is not the case for every single fake bag, but even so, it is still the theft of intellectual property. They are still benefiting off the billions of marketing spend that these designer brands are spending in order to build their reputation. And they are leveraging that and allowing a buyer who wants a designer bag or a designer looking bag to borrow from the reputation of one of the best designers in the world. Now, is the Mona Lisa real? Yes, I'm talking about the Mona Lisa. So the Mona Lisa has been stolen and vandalized a few times, but it was famously stolen in 1911 and recovered in 1913. Now, the reason why I'm using a lot of this in this video is one, I do not want to be sued, and two, well, there's actually a lot of controversy and conspiracy about the Mona Lisa. It is the most famous painting in the world, and there are 12 replicas of it at least. Now, these replicas of the Mona Lisa are very, very good. In fact, in the art world, there is a lot of replicas out there, and it has caused big issues with fakes being made and sold at crazy prices, which have been authenticated, which have been sold at these auction houses as legitimate Renoirs, as legitimate Da Vinci's. For example, there's a really good documentary about the last Da Vinci, which I would recommend watching. There are some prolific fakes out there in the art world, and this really does translate very well to the designer world, because when you have two identical products, doesn't matter that one's real and one's fake. Now, the biggest way that fake bags are being sold is on the second-hand market. Now, I am a second-hand designer bag connoisseur, but I have sure made some mistakes, and I have two fake bags with me to show you. I also have some very real bags to show you. Now, I have bought all of my Prada bags from their original owners. I have bought my Bvlgari Serpenti from a consignment store, and I bought things from Facebook Marketplace. I'm going to show you my fake ones, and then I'm going to show you my real ones and just how I got it wrong. Now, I am a very big fan of Prada. I have more Prada bags than I have of anything else. And I have bought fake Prada bags. In fact, I owned 3 fake Prada bags before I owned a real Prada bag. And you know what's so funny about it? Is I thought that I looked like hot. I really did. I thought that I looked very fancy. And if you squinted your eyes and tilted your head to the side, you might have thought that it was real too, but as soon as you got close, you will have noticed that that was not Prada, it was definitely Schmada. So this is really similar to a Prada Galleria. It is my first Prada, and I do love this bag, but it's also one of the most faked bags in the world. Now, Prada knows that their bags get faked a lot. So they have quite a good authentication system. Every single one of their bags comes with an authentication card, which is this. Now, this card not only has the article number, it has the correct leather and type of bag it is, and also the color that it's on. So it's all on here. It also has a stamp of which store it was sold at and the date it was bought. Now all of this should match the receipt that the seller gives you, and that's a really, really good sign that you are buying a real bag secondhand. Now I'm going to see if I can pull out the tag that this bag has. I can pull it out of its pocket. Every single Prada bag should have a little tag right here which has the article number on it. This bag is very much real, and let me tell you, because I have owned 2 fake versions of this, I know that it's real. Now I have 2 others, very similar bags to this. I have this one right here, which I love. This is my favorite travel bag. And then I have this one here. This is actually slightly different. This is an actual Galleria. This is actually not a Galleria. It doesn't have the double zips. Now, want to see my fakes? This is a very embarrassing Prada bag. Now I'm going to quickly go up to the camera and show you that hopefully you can see. Yes, this is Prada. But my friends, it's a schmada. I don't know what went through my head. Look, it looks really close. You can see that. You can see the lining is correct. That's looking very close. But you know what gave it away? The feel of it. And then I turned to open. My friends, that's not real leather. This is paper. I bought a fake Prada. You know what's worse? This is how good the fakes are getting. Look at that little tag on the inside. Little identification tag. But notice that's kind of ripping. Kind of ripping. I thought that I had genuinely picked up a vintage Prada bag, and it's not even that good of a fake, to be honest. Now I'm going to show you a fake Gucci bag, which I bought from the same person. Now I bought this from a woman on Facebook Marketplace who was selling both of these bags for $80. She said she was selling them for $80 because her very rich auntie in Hong Kong, whenever she visits, brings her a whole bunch of designer bags, but she just did not know if they were real or not. And I was like so excited. I was meeting up with her late at night at Aldi and thinking, oh my gosh, I've got the steal of the century. I can't believe she's selling these bags this cheap. Okay, look, this, I'm not gonna lie, this is a nice bag. This is a nice bag. It's a weird bag, but it's a nice bag. Nice little feet on it. And I was thinking, I was almost believing that it was real until this weird little mirror and the red which has come off onto this leather. Unfortunately, I can see the quality on the inside of the bag. Like for example, this right here would typically be double stitched, and you can see the ends of the bag. When it comes to fake bags, you really have to look inside the bag. The inside of the bag is always the giveaway. Never the outside, always the inside. Another really good giveaway is the type of zips that they use. The zips on this bag are just average, cheap zips. This is why you do not buy designer bags in an Aldi supermarket at 8 o'clock. Now, real bags. Real, bought from a consignment store. I love this bag. I get a lot of compliments on this bag. I don't wear it as much as I should. This actually does come with little, this is a very Bvlgari thing to do. They make their own little mirrors that slot inside their bags, and this is super cute. Now, buying this from Bvlgari, there's always a risk. The thing that this bag interestingly has is some sort of, what almost looks like a holographic tag on the inside. That's one of the ways that they're starting to copy very well, is every single time a designer brand comes out with a way that they believe that they can safeguard, but they have to keep on working. The technology has to keep on changing as the fakes get better. Mulberry, this is a really interesting one. I had to learn how to authenticate this brand because of this. Now, every Mulberry bag comes with a Mulberry card. This is actually a very rare Mulberry bag, and it's so rare, in fact, that the shop assistants thought it was fake. I actually had someone laugh at me when she saw this bag thinking that it was a fake, but no, it is a very, very rare Mulberry. A very, very rare Mulberry. It's beautiful. Last but not least, this is one of the most faked bags in the world. It's actually my first designer bag. I got this when I was 21 for $400 from Trade Me, the New Zealand eBay. This bag, which I have filled because these old Louis Vuitton bags, they do kind of cave in if you don't fill them properly. The canvas just caves in. These bags have an identification tag in them, which is something that the fakers are also doing now, but I'm gonna show you that there's a tag right here. So this tag right here has a letter and number combination on it, which shows when the tag was bought from the store. So every single one of these designer brands, generally when it comes with an identification number on the inside, we'll be able to see when the bag was initially bought, and they can also flag numbers which are being used, like which the fake brands are using. This is a real Louis Vuitton, very, very, very vintage bag. It was over 20 years old when I got it, and it is and I'm not 21 anymore. In fact, I'm turning 31 this year. I've kind of shown you quite a few bags here, and I want to show you one more, which is this. This is actually a bag that I do not think is real, but I do not know. Now, this bag is by Scanlan Theodore. It could be real if Scanlan Theodore makes the occasional bag out of fake leather. This definitely isn't real leather, but I just want to show you this bag because I do think that even brands you don't think would have fakes now have fakes. There is clothing from Claudie Pierlot and Maje, which is now being faked. Guess who else has fakes? Lululemon, Nike, you name it, there are fakes for almost every big brand out there. And I'm pretty sure that I own a fake Scanlan Theodore bag. And as soon as I felt it, it felt like a Kardashian bag. And I say that, you know those cheap bags that we owned in the 2000s that the Kardashians came out with? It feels like one of them. It just feels like plastic, and it's such a shame. I really hate the feeling of fake plastic bags, but yeah, there's a couple of giveaways in this bag which makes me think that this also isn't real and that it might be a good Bali fake, and there are a lot of good fakes coming out of Asia. So what I want to leave you with is, what do I think has to change? I think that designer brands, after this entire controversy dies down, need to show their supply chain. They need to eliminate the mystery in their supply chain even further and really, really, really focus on creating content which shows where all of the parts of the bag were made. I think that that is really the only way that they are going to be able to recover some reputational damage that has happened from this, because the reality is this controversy over the last week has really damaged the reputations of the designer brands, even if it's mostly or completely fake. So they have a lot of work to do. There's also been too many controversies recently which are true and which have been in the news and which they have had to apologize for. So I do think that these designer brands have to do a lot of work. Finally, should you buy a fake designer bag if you don't have the budget to buy a real designer bag? My answer is no. I would use your budget to buy a high quality, real leather vintage bag. Get something one of a kind, or go to a local artisan or someone who makes really high quality bags that are not fakes. The reason why is because Buying your first designer bag from the store or secondhand is a very momentous occasion. It talks about success and sacrifice, and you will steal that moment from yourself if you buy and own fakes first. And I think that's all I want to say on this topic. I am now surrounded with bags. Thank you so much for watching this video. I would love to hear your opinions in the comments. If you enjoy what I did today, you are very welcome to buy me a coffee. It's a service that I've signed up for which allows my subscribers to support what I do on this channel. And last but not least, please feel free to subscribe. Find me on Instagram at ldy.alx, and of course you can look up my styling services on my website. I am fully booked at the moment, but I have bookings available from mid-July 2025. Bye! Oh goodness. Do you think I have a problem? Also, let me know what you think about this setup. I think that it's quite nice, but I'm just moving around a lot. I'm trying to find the best place to film. So let me know if you prefer where I was before or where I am now. And the chair that I used to sit in, the golden grey one, I sold it. So I can't sit in that anymore, FYI.